I'm Tricia, and I want to just add to Pete's words that the Heart of Hastings Hospice is the organization that my mother would like you to make donations to if you are moved to make donations. And I just want to add that all the people who care for her at the end of her life, you are special people. Music, love, warmth, beauty, honesty, kindness, generosity, humor, intellectual curiosity, reading, always reading, or knitting something for someone. This is some of what comes up when I think of our mother. A small scene comes to mind. On a beautiful summer day, my father is bent over the kitchen sink, fixing a leak in a rain boot, patiently roughing the rubber around the leak before applying the glue and patch. He is following directions. My mother comes into the kitchen carrying broccoli from the garden, watches my father at first calmly, then impatiently. She wants to get into the sink to rinse the broccoli. She has plans for dinner, wants to get it started, and she sees a faster way to do what my father is so painstakingly doing and says, "Give it here, I'll do it." My father's response, "Don't worry about it, do your own job, I can do this myself." I wouldn't be surprised if she could simultaneously fix a rain boot, rinse broccoli, sing an aria, and fry the fish up she had for dinner that night, all in 15 minutes, and without following directions. We have a picture of her on another day, sitting practicing the recorder. She started several recorder groups in St. Andrews, New Brunswick, where she and my dad lived before Tweed. In the picture, though, she is not only practicing recorder, she is drying her hair. She has one of those big old-fashioned bonnets, things on her head. And next to her is a notepad where she has been taking notes as she practiced. She was a multitasker before they invented the term. As Pete mentioned, she could be headstrong. She was the one cellist, and I think Robin will remember this, and a good friend of ours, Peter Omnigray, who was her seatmate in the Oshawa Symphony. She was the one cellist in the orchestra who disregarded the first cello's bowing. And you all know that the bows all move in the same direction in the orchestra, so that it looks good and everyone's phrasing in the same way, I should say, the same way. So that phrasing with the bow is decided by the first cellist. Well, my mother always refused to be the first cellist, though she was often the best cellist in the orchestra. She wanted to be in the second or third desk, usually the third desk for some reason. But she was in the third desk, but she wouldn't follow the first cellist. So in the concert, the bows would all be moving beautifully in the same direction, except for hers and her seatmates, usually Peter Omnigray's. And Peter would go along with the bowings because hers were, of course, better and more efficient. So this is like very bad etiquette. But if she thought there was a better way, she would just do it in all walks of life. She really wasn't very good at doing what she was told or following directions. Authority was something to question and to detour around for my mother. She taught music at a high school in a neighboring town, Curtis, between Port Hope and Oshawa, for years. And here's a little secret from her time there. She stole a key from the janitor's office when he was out doing something, went to the hardware store and had a duplicate made, returned the key to the janitor's office, and then with this duplicate key, she was able to sneak into the music room each morning through an outside door that led directly from the football field into the music room. And she did not have to go by the office where they would notice her, or where the principal in particular would notice her, because the two of them were at odds on all kinds of things. She did wild things, like inspired by better instruments for her students, shocking as that might sound, or play Jesus Christ Superstar tracks to her students, which was much frowned down and actually forbidden by the Sourmouth principal. Her students loved her, and she loved them. She loved even the really weird students, and she was kind to them. She also nudged them to expand themselves, and I think definitely by your response and many of the comments last night, I think many of you here might have experienced this combination of kindness and nudging from Elizabeth. As I was writing this late last night, though, I thought, okay, what am I talking about here? I really haven't gotten to the matter of what I wanted to say. I told my brothers I was going to talk about music, but I was sort of dancing around the subject, doing this stream of consciousness thing, and I got distracted by these stray memories. But somehow the stray memories were essential, for some reason, to my coming to terms with who she was in her life. But in terms of music, our mother, Elizabeth, was a singer. She was a cellist, a private cello teacher who taught Robin, who you heard tonight, and many, many other young people. She was a high school music teacher, an orchestra player, a chamber music player, a conductor. She went to the Royal College of Music in London, where she studied voice, as in opera. That was her main thing. Cello was her second instrument. She also studied speech and theater and composition. And in fact, she studied composition with Imogen Holst, the daughter of Gustav Holst, who was the composer of The Planets, who many of you may know. But now I feel I'm bragging about her a little bit. Really what I wanted to say was that her music was one of the many gifts she gave to us, her children, and through us to her grandchildren, and also to her many students over the years. And the music has a lot to do with love and being together and doing something that is just pure joy, not for the purpose other than to be together and to be joyful. And even in the really sad music, to cry together is to be joyful. Music comes through generations. It's not some God-given gift or talent. It comes from mothers and fathers who sing to their children, who demonstrate the deep joy that comes from expressing their thoughts and emotions through music. And of course it comes from lots of practice. I remember learning Twinkle on the cello. All of us did. I no longer play the cello, but we all learned that. Chris went the furthest with the cello than any of the rest of us. But we also all sat at the piano and learned to read music from teaching little fingers to play. And I barely remember when I didn't know what a half note was. My mother sang all the time also. She sang as she vacuumed, as she cooked, as she drove the car. We all grew up singing. She coached us and accompanied us on the piano for voice solos at the Kiwanis Festival. I'm sure lots of you were in the Kiwanis Festival. And is it bragging even more to say that we usually won? That really was because of her. She spent so much time with us, and she cared about every phrase and every word. And she gave us time freely through music and otherwise. But this music time was really, really special. Images of her as I grew up always feature her cello, which she kept wrapped in a soft yellow fabric inside the dilapidating leather case. I can see her sitting at her straight back cello chair, T-bar in place, rosining her bow in the living room, the calm look on her face as she prepared to play, then the beautiful sounds, and the occasional "damn" when a passage wasn't going as she wanted it to. I remember her mahogany metronome, her pitch pipe, her stacks of music, her conductor's baton. My violinist son, Lucas, who could not be here today in person but is in spirit, still uses the same music portfolio that she had, which she passed to me, and which I then passed on to him. My mother once related to me that her mother had told her that no matter what happened in life, she would always have her music, that music was like a friend who would never leave you. My mother said that she had lived long enough to know that this was true. Even in the saddest times of her life, she could bring out her cello and find music, find solace. I took that to heart. We all took it to heart. And I've passed that story on to my son, as my brothers have all passed it on to their kids. And my son's taken it to heart. And I know he'll pass it on, I'm sure, because that's the way music works. So thank you, Mom, for this fine gift. this friend for life, this